Hello, hello. Thank you for being here. We are very, very honored to be here for this conference on the extremely important issue of climate change and climate change risks. So now is the time to begin our dialogue with Giulio Terzariol. He is CEO for insurance for Generali Group. And so we are trying to connect with him. So hopefully that is going to work. Hello, welcome. Mr. Terzariol.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly. All right. So we can begin our little conversation. So of course, thank you for being here. I'll start right off. So climate change, as we know, is testing the resilience of our economic and financial systems through more frequent, more severe, and unpredictable national phenomenons. So my question for you is, what is Generali doing in this sense to address the protection gap and to adapt and mitigate the impacts of this climate change that we are seeing?
No, thank you, and also sorry I cannot be there with you in person. As you can imagine, climate change and the implication for the broader economy and also for the insurance sector are a big topic for us here Generali. And as Mr. Signorini said before, we cannot be in denial. We heard also some statistics from the opening speech of Ms. Farina. Last year we had again over 100 billion of insurance losses. This is the fourth consecutive year where we see this amount of insurance losses. When we look at our home country, Italy, last year was a peak year. And now let's look also what is happening in 2024. Until a few weeks ago, everything looked to be pretty benign, but now we are seeing significant floods in Central Eastern Europe, and now we see also these floods coming to Italy. If we think about the old distinction between primary perils and secondary perils, this distinction is becoming more and more irrelevant. And we need to be also aware that this trend is not going to stop. Indeed, there are expectations that natural catastrophe-related losses are going to double over the next 10 years. And now let's think that we have a protection gap. On a global level, the protection gap is about 60%. Let's think that this protection gap has widened in 2023, it didn't come down. And then as we look forward, we have a trend which is not in our favor. So this is clearly a topic which is extremely relevant. So we need to catch up, but somehow the conditions are not going in our favor. So that's very important, clearly, that we take this topic very seriously. And in this regards, I can say that the high-level framework for the public-private insurance program is a very good document, very well done, very crisp. And this lays down a little bit the action that we can do to address the protection gap. To us, as Generali, it's clear that we can have to play an active role, and I would say also a primary role in that. Our mission is to be a responsible insurer, responsible investor, and a responsible citizen. So when we keep in mind all these responsibilities that we have clearly facing the climate challenge is a big priority for us. In the past, we have put a lot of effort on risk mitigation. So that's about reducing the carbon footprint, and we have a leading sustainability program, which is basically going across all activities that we have, our insurance activities, how we reduce the carbon footprint in our insurance activity, on the investment side, where we made substantial investment in the green economy, and also clearly we are looking at the energy efficiency and the lowering the carbon footprint in our operation. So that's been the focus over the last years. It continues to be clearly an important topic as we move forward. But now we are putting more and more emphasis also on climate adaptation. That's a very important topic. And here, clearly, we can offer insurance solution. So we are thinking about insurance products. And what we are doing is to also push more parametric solution. That's an example of what we are doing. What is a parametric solution? It's basically when you offer a predetermined payouts based on the triggering of a natural catastrophe event. Why is parametric solution sometimes really a good offering for our clients because you can pay very quickly the claim. And this is very important, clearly, in the claim processes that you have speed in the payment of a claim. So that's one thing that we do. Then we spend a lot of time in loss prevention and mitigation measure. And we do this both with programs, which are broad programs, but also in the individual conversation with our clients. Then we have financial inclusion program, especially in Asia. We have launched some programs which are geared to create more awareness in our customer bases about the risk coming from climate change and how they can protect themselves from climate change. And the final point is clearly we are very eager to engage in all this conversation about public-private partnership, where we think we can really play a role, also providing our thought leadership. So from that point of view, that's also a very important angle, which is also at the basis of the conversation we are having today.
Thank you. So thank you for setting the scene for us. I had a more specific question now about small and medium-sized enterprises. So SMEs, as we know around the world, they're among those most affected by climate change because, well, they have less resources, of course. And so my question is, what is Generali doing to support SMEs in becoming more resilient against climate risks and other natural hazards? Keeping in mind, obviously, Italy is a country known for its SMEs. So.
No, absolutely. And the SME segment is a very important segment in our strategy, and we're going to put a lot of focus on these segments also in our next strategic planning. When we think about the SME sector is crucial to the global economy. About 90% of the companies are SME companies. 70% of global employment and 70% of the GDP is coming basically from SME. So if you think the contribution is huge, and one point to keep in mind, SME companies can be more vulnerable to climate change and to the impact on natural catastrophe because compared to large company, they have clearly less financial resources. So the impacts of a natural catastrophe events on a small company can be really devastating, can put them out of business. That's the reason why we're putting a lot of focus on working with SME companies. I can give you a few examples. Right now, I'm in Paris, and in Paris, our company, Generali France, has developed a tool which is called Riscare. And this tool allows basically to create a sort of ecosystem where we are bringing different players together, including distribution partners, including providers of loss mitigation services. So what we can do with this tool is to pool information, risk assessment information together. This allows also to have a faster risk identification and risk assessment. And then out of this risk assessment, we can provide not only advice, but we can also provide the individualized action plan. And then as a final step, we can also put our clients in touch with a network or trusted network of providers that can provide clearly then the needed solution. So that's a nice ecosystem where we are combining the insurance coverage with an advisory service and also with if you want, a digital ecosystem. That's an example that we have in France that clearly we're going to see how we can export to other countries. In Asia, we have developed an online platform, and that's really geared to SME companies in vulnerable communities. And that's more an advisory platform that's really to help our customers in Asia to understand basically what are the challenges they might be facing in front of climate risk and what kind of actions, what kind of risk prevention they can put in place in order to protect themselves. Then we have what I think is a fantastic initiative, which is the SME Enterprise Award. So what is that? We are basically giving an award to SME companies which are combining sustainability and innovation. And we really believe at Generali the sustainability and innovation are going hand in hand. So this initiative has started in Europe a few years ago, and now we are bringing this initiative also to Asia. So I think that's a fantastic initiative of combining two very important things, innovation and sustainability. And then the last one is clearly we are engaging with governments and supervisor. In Italy, the government has done a lot in the last years in order to increase SME resilience to climate change. And as we know that there is a change in law. There is a new law providing for a mandatory catastrophic coverage. And as you know, Generali has been clearly supporting this regulation, working clearly on making sure that it's going to be implemented in a successful way. So it's I would say, a broad range of initiative. Altogether, we are really doing a lot of effort together with our SME clients to ensure that they are resilient in face of climate change, because we understand the importance that SME companies have for the global economy, and we also appreciate that they might be especially vulnerable to the trend that we are seeing right now.
Thank you. So just one more question, just to sort of wrap up what we've been saying. You mentioned public-private partnerships earlier. So among viable measures to increase insurance coverage, as we know, multi-stakeholder collaboration could take the form of PPPs. Now, what is Generali doing to promote this type of collaboration, and what are your plans for the future in this realm?
Yes, we really believe that insurance company, we clearly Generali being a lead insurance company, can and have to play a very active role in shaping the response to the challenge that we see. And clearly we can play an individual role, but we also know that partnering with other stakeholders can provide a fuller response to the challenge that we see. When I look at the high-level framework and I look at the different actions that are mentioned there, I strongly believe we can play a role basically in all of them. If you look at the risk literacy, increasing the risk awareness, I like to call it risk literacy. We can play a big role. We can play a big role, as I was saying before, on an individual basis, having the conversation with our customers, but we can also create inclusion program. Then there is the point of incentivizing and investing in risk prevention. That's also an area where we are already doing a lot. Thinking about investing in risk prevention, we have invested over the last 3 years about 10 billion in green energy investment. Think about incentivizing risk prevention. That's what we do clearly when we offer our insurance solution. There will be a different price depending on the kind of risk prevention that our clients are putting in place. And then there is the topic clearly of providing insurance capacity, and that's exactly where then the conversation also about public-private partnership comes into play. As Ms. Farina was saying before, there is not necessarily a one-size-fits-all approach, because legislation can be different, customer behavior can be different, sensitivities to the topic can be different in different countries. But that's the beauty. We at Generali, we can play at different level. We can play at the global level, bring our expertise there. We can bring our expertise at the European level, and we can also engage on a local level. So as we think about public-private partnership solution, we can definitely play a role in bringing our expertise to the table. And as I was saying, we can definitely play on different level. One thing that what we are already doing right now, we are partnering with the United Nations Development Program. That's a partnership where we are bringing insurance solution and advisory services regarding climate change to vulnerable communities in Asia. So that's an initiative that we started a couple of years ago, and we are going clearly to continue to work on this initiative. Another initiative where I would say we are a proud member, maybe even the founder to a certain degree of this initiative, is the Insurance Development Forum, which is a unique public-private platform where we are there, the insurance company are there, the World Bank is there, the UN is there, and that's really about thinking about the protection gap. What can we do as an industry, as also a broader community in order to find an answer to the challenge we are facing. And then also we are working with the OECD, and that's about contributing to policies which are addressing different kinds of changes that we are seeing, like technological change, like demographic change, but clearly one major topic is also climate change. So from that angle, we are already doing a lot, and also we are not only supporting clearly the high-level framework initiative, but we are very eager to contribute to it, and we will play our role. So I can tell you that you can count on Generali be there with you, and we will find a solution to the challenges in front of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Terzariol. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us and for sharing Generali's view.